Good morning, everyone. I would like to call to order a special meeting of the Board of County Commissioners for November 29th, 2023. The time is 9:34 a.m. I'd like everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Seated. All right, thank you, everybody. Be seated. We have one item on the agenda this morning brought forth by Commissioner Pendergrass. At this time, I would like to recognize Commissioner Pendergrass.
Great. Thank you, Chairman, if I could. Thank you all for being here this morning. Sorry we have to do such a short, inconvenience meeting like this, but I think it's really important and it's so critical to Lee County's future. Recently, the state has, obviously, we love working with the state delegation in our state of Florida. We're great partners, but recently they brought some bills forward that was brought forward by one person, and that introduces, it changes the Lee County government, structure of Lee County government. And I think that's really important that we've heard from a lot of residents, taxpayers, and voters. I think it's really important that we take a stance on these issues. And the latest stance, we took one October 24th related to changing the county administration code, which related to the county manager position as a mayor. And now there's a new one. Now it changes the structure of the Board of County Commissioners to single-member districts, which, in my view, it restricts voting people's rights to vote and also increases the size of government. Both those bills measured together with the analysis from our staff cost over $3 million a year to facilitate those services throughout the year. I'm concerned about the cost of that and the structure of that. So I'd like to make a motion to oppose the new local bill that expands county government, adding 2 new seats to the Board of County Commissioners and limits voters' participation. This to include that this office was brought up during the Charter Review Commission in 2014 and 2022, when it failed to vote the last time around. And both bills cost over $3 million. And the motion will also include reaffirming our vote on October 24th as far as the county manager position. That's the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Pendergrass. We have a second from Commissioner Sandelli. At this time, we have public comment. So I will start going through the cards. So we have Randy Kreis, you're first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Randy Chris, I'm speaking for myself. I come to oppose both of the motions. First off, on single-member districts. I come from a county that I operated in real estate for 25 years before I moved here, and it was single-member district. And the biggest problem there was, and there were 5 commissioners, the chairman was elected position. But the biggest problem there was on zoning matters and variance matters and things, it set up a fiefdom where if that commissioner in his district said no, it was no. It didn't matter if the other 4, they wouldn't get into his area because they didn't want him messing in their area. And I understand the proposed structure would be 2 at-large, but it still creates some real problems in my opinion. And if we look at the school board as the model, I've been here 22 years, I've never seen them function as well as this board does right now, ever. So that's my thinking there. And as far as an elected mayor, county manager, however you say it, I'm still trying to figure out with this school board how the board is going to be able to police, if you will, the superintendent when they're both elected. They can't fire him, he can't fire them. Who's going to have the power? Who's going to have the final say-so? Again, it says to me that it's a problem that's going to create dissension on a regular basis, and maybe that's good. But in my opinion, I like a harmonious board who can get along and work the best for the people. And I also believe that voting for all 5 of you is in my best interest than voting for 1 and 2 at large on a 7-member. So that means 4 of those guys can tell me to go pound sand and they don't care because, hey, I can't vote for them. So I'll reserve my 36 seconds. Thank you for your, Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, County Attorney, Randy, thank you for your comments. I think when you spoke, you said you opposed the motion, but then you spoke saying you opposed the bill. So if you could clarify if you support our motion today, or you oppose?
no, I'm opposed to changing to single-member districts and electing the county mayor, manager, whatever you're going to end up calling it. Thanks for that clarification.
If I could, Chairman, if I could have a point of order, I also like to amend my motion from the original motion. I'd like to add to be signed by the chairman today and sent to the delegation before 5 o'clock today due to the November 30th delegation meeting in the morning. I think it's really critical. They understand the way we feel based upon the public comment we hear today and what we're doing. So I'd like to amend my motion to add that it be signed by the chairman today and is delivered to the delegation before 5 o'clock today.
County Attorney, is that the,
Yes, sir,
Recognize,
you would just need the second to concur in that amendment.
Would concur.
all right, thank you. Okay, amendment is
Thank you, sorry.
changed, so. All right, second up is James Whitney.
Good morning. I'm representing myself. I do not support y'all's view today. I do believe we should be single-member districts. The reason for that is our voting members are being disenfranchised in their views. We're being called silent minorities in our areas because our own elected officials are reaching out to other areas and garnering the voting support of areas outside of their district. Their views on development changes. It is not effectively representing the people. Let this motion go through. Let the voting members stand and make the decision. There are members of you on the board that are standing and doing well for the resiliency of Lee County and supporting and going against the changes that this county needs to go forward. And you are standing in the belief of your people and the future of Lee County. Please let this go through and let us have single-member districts so we can start having our own representative. In our last Fair Board decision that the 3 members that were present, Commissioner Pendergrass, you deferred decision over to the District 5 to make the decision because he was more aware of what was going on in his district. That motion alone carries weight that we need to have individual representative districts for Lee County. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next up will be Lou Fattarelli. Fattarelli, if I mispronounce that, please forgive me.
Hi, my name is Lou Fattarelli, and good morning, Commissioners. I'm representing the East Corkscrew Alliance. The Alliance is 12 gated communities on East Corkscrew Road. Presently, we have about 18,000 residents, and in 10 years, we'll probably have 57,000 residents on East Corkscrew. That being said, the Alliance supports the motion that Commissioner Prendergast made, and we feel strongly that it should be passed and presented to the delegation at tomorrow's meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Up next is Neil Montgomery. Good morning.
Good morning. I apologize for sitting in the back. I'm here in support of Mr. Pendergrass's motion for the reasons he articulated. But as an attorney, I'm particularly concerned about the county mayor, where you have one attorney that represents the board and another that represents a county mayor, and what happens with that conflict. One of the things you all have strived to do is to make government more efficient, more transparent, and more clear. Having 2 potentially competing governing entities does not promote clarity, transparency, and efficiency. So I'm concerned about that. And I don't know who said it, perhaps, but if it isn't broken and it's working, why are we going to mess it up? So I'm support your motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Montgomery. Next up will be James Kennedy.
I come to speak in opposition. I come to speak in opposition for a couple reasons. One, the delegation meeting has been known about for weeks. To propose these two meetings on the 24th and the 29th, it just doesn't pass the smell test to anybody that's looking at it outside of this group. Gentlemen, I think that the arguments made for not doing it, they don't really hold water. You're disenfranchising the individual districts by allowing the other 4 districts to steamroll over them. For example, when you raise the building heights on Sanibel, when you look at body language and you see a look of defeat or betrayal in someone's body language when a vote's taken, you can tell that their interest has not been served. By continuing to make this argument that we will disenfranchise people by single district voting, all you're saying is that your vote counts more than mine does, because you have more people in your neighborhood than I have in mine, because you have more money, right? To say that the group functions harmoniously, you wouldn't have the split votes that you did. They would be unanimous votes if they were functioning harmoniously. There's a level of professional respect that these gentlemen give each other, and you have to appreciate that. When you look at the comments, the votes, or the way the votes have gone to develop certain different areas, we're not well represented. To add a strong manager or to go to single member voting districts with the 2 at large, okay, so you're telling me that we're going to add cost of government. But if we're going to add cost to government and it's going to do it better or represent people better, and that's your job in the first place, then you should be supporting this, right? If it's going to give you more control over your district where you're supposed to be the expert and you're supposed to represent your voters, then it doesn't make any sense not to support this bill unless you're doing something to preserve individual power in the group. The best way to serve the voters of Lee County and the communities of Lee County is to give each individual community control over what's going on in their neighborhood. But otherwise, Sanibel gets to tell me how I get to live. I get to tell Lehigh how they get to live. That's not right. We're a community. We're supposed to work together. So as the expert for your area, you should be working with, but you should still be able to make decisions for your community. That goes back to property rights, doesn't it? My time, thanks.
Chairman, if I could point out for the record, the speaker said at the beginning of his comments that we raise the height in Sanibel. The city of Sanibel oversees the zoning and development of Sanibel, so the Board of County Commissioners had no voting authority over that vote 2 weeks ago with Sanibel. So the city of Sanibel voted on Sanibel Heights, not Lee County. So thank you, though.
Thank you for the clarification, Commissioner Pendergrass. Up next will be Philip Ford.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Philip Ford. I'm representing the Lee Building Industry Association, and I'm here today to let you know that the association does not support the local bills that are being considered by the legislative delegation to change our government, and we support Mr. Pendergrass's motion. As Ms. Montgomery said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We have seen this commission function well over the years. Our government functions very well. We get things done. The county's managed well. Why are we changing it? Where's the citizen outcry to change our government? And I think that I haven't talked to one person that thinks this is a good idea. They like what we have. They think you guys are doing a great job. Our county manager and everybody's doing a great job. And we encourage you to send a strong message, unanimous message to our legislative delegation that we do not want this. I will say as a side, I don't think this has been handled properly. I think it's caused some division in our community that we don't need. We're still recovering from Hurricane Ian and other things, and I think we need to pull back and have some conversations and see what the people want. And that's what hasn't happened. This thing's been done in the cloak of darkness from my perspective, and it's during the holiday season. We're trying to pull everybody together. I think the Realtors Board meeting is tomorrow. I was talking to them. They haven't even taken a position on it because everybody's in the holiday season. Again, I encourage you to pass Commissioner Pendergrass's motion and send this message to the legislative delegation that this is not the direction we need to go in, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Ford. Up next will be Carol Brook. Good morning.
Good morning. I support Commissioner Pendergrass's resolutions. I have lived in the city of Fort Myers and worked with the city and the county during that time. And I feel if I had had the opportunity to vote for all the city council members, there'd be less problems and be able to get solutions in my specific ward. I know all the council people care about all the residents, but there is a lack of communication and problem solving because of having only one ward person. And being able to vote for all the commissioners would benefit all of us. I also feel that being able to appoint a, whatever you want to call it, mayor or city manager or administrative, whatever, that you guys have the firsthand knowledge of what is happening, what is the job requirement, and being able to use that knowledge and being able to firsthand experience with a person's skills and work ethic and dedication lets you be able to control the situation and let those happen. And, you know, I was impressed with the way you dealt with replacing the retiring city manager. You knew what you had, you knew where you were going, and you knew what was best for the county. And so those decisions by appointing is the best offer, I think, for you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Up next will be Matt Caldwell.
Thank you, Commissioners. I come to you today as a citizen. I want to make 3 points, although we could talk about this in probably a 25-point discussion. The first one is I want to note that I didn't speak when you considered your opposition to the mayoral proposal a few weeks ago. I think that's entirely a matter of opinion. There's arguments for and against it. I certainly am comfortable with elected executive authority. Doesn't give me any heartburn, but I don't feel strongly about that as I do about single-member districts. You cannot escape the moral reality. It is a judicially established fact. It's not an opinion. At-large districts for local government were only created in order to disenfranchise voters. Whether or not that's still the intent and the purpose to maintain it is irrelevant. That is the origin, and it is the fruit of a poison tree regardless. Next, I want to talk about the reality of how the voters view this. It is true, we've not changed this structure, even though it's been talked about repeatedly for the last 50 years. What the voters have done instead, as they have become dissatisfied with your governance over matters of municipal importance, future land use, zoning, and infrastructure, 5 times since 1976, they've incorporated a portion of this county in order to take that authority away from this board. And I think it's a direct correlation because those local communities felt they were not having their views represented through a single member district system, and the only way they could satisfy that desire was to be separate and apart and incorporate. And I suspect if we go through another electoral cycle without addressing this issue, you are going to see an overwhelming desire on the part of the residents of places like Lehigh Acres and Alva and Pine Island and Captiva to do the same thing that their peers have done 5 times in the last 50 years. The last thing I want to do is note this. I had a commissioner tell me yesterday that he didn't understand why I would even get involved in this. I'm friends with all 5 of you. I should be able to get 3 votes for anything, anytime I want. So we're going to test that today, and I'm going to suggest this. The delegation is not voting on this tomorrow. They're holding simply a public hearing. If there's no turnout tomorrow, then we will have answered the question and the opponents of those propositions will be proven right. There is no desire to see this thing addressed. However, we get hundreds of people that turn out tomorrow, I would suggest the opposite is true, and we do have to have this conversation. One way or the other, you could table this resolution a day, bring it back up in regular order next Tuesday when you have your regular business meeting, and respond based upon what you see from the public tomorrow. In the intervening time, I would encourage you to reach out to the delegation and suggest a workshop and a roundtable between the 5 of you, potentially the 5 constitutional officers, and the 8 members of the delegation, and have a face-to-face conversation about the issues that have inarguably bedeviled us for the better part of 30, 40 years in this county. It's not going to go away, and just ignoring it isn't going to make it any easier. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you, Mr. Caldwell. Up next will be Dr. Steve Maxwell.
Good morning, members of the Lee County Commission. My name is Steve Maxwell for the record, and I'm representing myself as an individual. Specifically, let me give you a history lesson in terms of this whole idea of single-member districts and elected county manager style of government. One, we only have 3 counties in our 67 counties that operate under an elected county manager. Okay, you have Orange County, you have Duval County, and you have Miami-Dade County. Those are the only 3 counties in Florida. And most importantly, you have to factor in this fast fact. There is no evidence that can be proven that those 3 types of counties that I just mentioned, the names of, have been more effective, more ethical, and more efficient than our current city and county management model in the state of Florida. So when people blow the smoke as to it's going to be better, there's no evidence to support it. And I think another important issue that was raised by Attorney Montgomery is the competing interest of having 2 different attorneys represent 2 different entities, political entities, is a very valid point. So I would strongly suggest you be cautioned by that. And it's a conflict of interest to the public. It's an affront to the public because you got 2 competing interests vying against the public. Now let's go to the other issue, single-member districts. Again, there is no evidence to support that single-member district county commissions have operated more effectively, more efficiently, okay, or more ethically. There's none. Now, how do I get this information? Well, being in academia and political science and having taught it for the past 40 years at the college level and at the high school level, Brian, you remember, okay? The bottom line is this. If we're going to want to spend $3 million to implement and effectuate a change, how's that fiscally responsible? I don't see it as fiscally responsible. I see it more as a political want than what's practical. Now, the other issue, I served on 2 charter review commissions for this county. One time before, I think you were maybe 2 years old at the time, Commissioner Hammond. All of you up here except for 2 were here. And
Mr. Maxwell, your time's up.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Seconds to go ahead and finish, but we need to.
Wrap it up, get it, sir, thank you. The bottom line is I support the resolution that is being pushed to the legislative delegation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Maxwell. If we could, I would appreciate if everybody would direct your comments directly to the board, not one individual. It's just a better quorum, I think. So up next will be Roger DeLoge.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to
Welcome back.
join this very important conversation. I'd like to speak first to the idea of a strong mayor. Technically, that's what it's called. It's not called an elected county manager. It's called a strong mayor form of government. And it smacks of bossism. Bossism, as you know, if you study political science at all, is an elected person who dominates a political organization. With a strong mayor form of local government, people elect a single politician to lead the community, implement vision and policy, manage the day-to-day operation, service delivery, budgeting, and finance. The county commission easily becomes marginalized because the boss is solely responsible for generating and managing the budget. The mayor is also responsible for hiring all of the employees. Strong mayors are notorious. They are notorious for rewarding political allies when hiring department heads and the executive staff of the organization. They will likely hire a chief administrative officer because they will likely not have any experience in managing local government, and that chief administrative officer will be beholden to just one person, the person that hired them. And the council manager form of government was created in the 1920s, and it was created to combat corruption. The elected governing board collectively creates a community vision and policies necessary for success. They hire a non-political, highly trained and experienced professional to implement the vision and policy, manage the day-to-day operation, service delivery, budgeting and finance, and all of the staffing. The manager remains accountable to the commission, and if at any time the commission believes that that person is not performing, they can be replaced on any given day by a majority vote. If a mayor or if the boss isn't performing, the community has to wait until the end of a 4-year term. And then there's no guarantee that that person will be replaced, and if they are, by a person of competence. It's interesting to note, over time, and this I'm relying on 47 years of experience in local government, it's usually only a few people who drive the effort to abandon the council manager form of government in favor of a strong mayor, and it's always interesting to wonder why that is. The strong mayor system sets up a power struggle between the mayor and the commission. And perhaps that's what some people look for, because in chaos and when there's conflict, that's when some people use it for personal gain. It has a negative effect on employees. Career growth slows and is stifled. There's a potential for a new CEO every 4 years during the election cycle. And it promotes bureaucracy and discourages creativity, and it can easily destroy employee morale. In the strong mayor form, you only have to be qualified by being 21 years old, and my time is up.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. And
God, you ought to manage that button a little better.
Now you can retire.
You should know by now.
okay, up next is Tara Jenner.
Good morning, Tara Jenner. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my family members who could not make it here today, all of whom are eligible to vote. I'm in support of Mr. Pendergrass' motion today on both of the accounts. I would like to point out that my 19-year-old son reminded me that he would be eligible to run as the county manager / mayor. He's over 18, eligible to contract, and a Lee County resident. He also acknowledges that he is not equipped to handle the job, but if he were to have adequate support financially and fiscally to create glossy flyers and get the word out, uninformed voters may very well vote for him, especially the younger crowd who think that they actually know everything, which fortunately he's one that acknowledges he's not quite there yet. One of the former speakers mentioned the fact that Commissioner Pendergrass actually deferred to the experience and local information provided by a commissioner in a different district when it came to an issue going on in that particular area. That is the benefit of having at-large commissioners who do their job correctly and recognize, just like anybody, that there are people that come to the table with additional local experience that they can share with the board, and they give proper deference to that information. Whereas with single-member districts, again, you end up having this interfighting and geographical conflict going on. Yes, I understand that there's also this proposal to have at-large members. Bluntly, just from a mathematical standpoint, I don't want to go from 5 out of 5 to 3 out of 7. Again, I've seen it at the school district just last week, where 2 individuals were in the district of one of the single district members, and the board member was willing to talk to them and basically turned their back to me because I can't vote for or against them. When it comes to the county manager, the issue of potential recall is a concern for me versus being able to hire and fire. For those of you who are political science majors, it kind of reminds me of going from what we had in the Constitution to adding in the 17th Amendment, where our local authority as a state to delegate and represent the states in the Senate by appointment has now been lost, and we have a 6-year free-for-all at the Senate level. I like having the recall option when it's needed. Although the Commission in the past may not have always taken advantage of that opportunity, I just commend the voters in Lee County to do what we've been doing, and that's electing commissioners who actually recognize when change may or may not be necessary. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Jenner. Up next will be John Albion.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioners, for the opportunity to speak. I'm John Albion. I'm here representing myself, but candidly, I'm also here a little bit to represent, I think, a little bit of history on this board. I'm not sure why this is even coming up right now, to be honest with you. And the reason why is because in 1996, the citizens of Lee County decided by a referendum to have a charter form of government. We are asking, essentially, the state delegation to pass a law, I suppose, that says that there can be a vote to ask citizens their opinion on a change of form of government that, in my opinion, directly violates a decision made in 1996 that says exactly how this process is supposed to work. There's a provision in the Home Rule Charter. It's 9 pages long, granted no pictures, but not a long read, to understand that in Article 4, if citizens are not satisfied with the Charter Review Commission or the County Commission's decision to not go forward with something they want, that by the Home Rule Charter, there's a petition process. That petition process is specifically in there so that if they feel locked out, there's an ability, you do have to get 7% based upon the number that voted in the prior election of signatures to be able to get it on the ballot. If you get that 7%, there's nobody that can stop you except a judge if they feel that what is being presented is not adequate to be on the ballot. So I don't know why we're here. This is asking the state delegation, who's part of 160 members, between 120 in the State House and 40, I believe, in the State Senate, of which 66 out of 67 of those counties do not have a stake in this, to make a decision as to whether citizens should be given the right when there's already a process in place that's supposed to be used. This is a dangerous slope, people, because if the delegation is going to start allowing people to circumvent a process that was duly elected by referendum by the citizens of Lee County, then where does that go and where does that stop? And why do we have a home rule charter? So therefore, I'm not saying I'm for, I mean, I have concerns about an elected county manager or an elected county attorney, but candidly, I'm willing to be open-minded about the other. But the reality is, I will not support violating a home rule charter because asking people for a vote for what they want by violating a vote for what they actually ask to be done. So therefore, I think on those grounds alone, the state delegation, frankly, needs to keep their nose out of it. And I think that the county should stand up for their home rule right, which is no different than a city having their own charter, which is what they are governed by. The same should be for Lee County. This is the legal way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Next up will be Nathan Shaw.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the County Commission and staff. I'm Nathan Fred Shaw. My wife and I have been full-time residents of Lee County now going on 15 years. And as a resident, I have watched our county commission work effectively, efficiently, providing excellent services and meeting the needs of those that live here, those that work here, and those that own businesses here. The commission has worked hand in hand with an appointed county manager, again, working for the betterment and the best interests of the people of Lee County. And as one can see, they've done an excellent job serving the best interests of all of us in Lee County. There's no reason to change a system that works so well and is positioned to continue to do so. Also, I am your chair of the Lee County Charter Review Commission for 23-24. As you know, the commission meets once every 8 years to determine and decide if there should be changes or modifications to the Lee County Charter, and we are in the middle now of our 18-month term. The issue of having an elected county manager or mayor came up for discussion before us, and after some debate was voted down 11-2. The members of the Charter Review Commission were placed in their positions by you, the Lee County Commissioners. Today I'm asking that you affirm the vote you took a couple of weeks ago on this topic, and also move to oppose any attempts by the legislature to change the makeup of the Lee County Commission. Thank you for your commitment and the service to our county.
Up next will be Carl Baracco.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Carl Baracco. I'm here speaking as a citizen of Lee County for almost 60 years, and during that time following Lee County politics since I was age 17. I can say in all of those years, this board is one of the best, if not the best, we've had in all of those years. And I would say the same thing goes for your county manager's office and their entire team. You all work very efficiently and effectively, and you've proven that during this past year after Hurricane Ian. You've heard it several times already this morning. If it's not broken, please don't try to fix it. The consequences, whether they be intended or unintended, could be very detrimental to our entire county. Obviously, I oppose any change to our local form of government. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Baracco. Up next will be Kevin Besser. If I pronounce that wrong, please correct me. Pretty close. Pretty close, okay. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Kevin Besser, and I want to say I'm here on behalf of myself today as a Lee County citizen, and I would here to support Commissioner Pendergrass's motions to send a resolution to the delegation that Lee County citizens do not support this. As a member of the Charter Review Board, I am a little shocked that this is coming back up because all citizens in Lee County have had the opportunity to come to our meetings and discuss issues that are important to them. And not one person came to any of our meetings to discuss the expansion of the county government, to single-member districts, or to have an elected county manager. As someone who has worked with local governments across the state of Florida, I can tell you that the expansion of a single-member district does not make it, does not re-enfranchise voters, as some have said today. It actually makes it hard, makes it more, sends you farther away from your citizens. As if you have the ability to raise my taxes, Commissioner Greenwell, I don't live in your district, I live in Commissioner Pendergrass's, but if you raise my taxes, I should have the right to vote you out of office for raising my taxes. And if you were voting for raise my taxes and I couldn't vote for you, that would disenfranchise me as a citizen. I also would like to say I really echo Commissioner as former County Manager Desjardins' comments. I think they were very well written and spoken to. And I just would like to support the county commissioners today in this resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, and I would like to also say I did not raise your taxes.
None of us did.
No one in this board.
Still vote for all 5 of us.
Okay, next up will be Representative Jenna Pearson Malika. Thank you for coming, and nice to see you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, board members. Jenna Persons Malika. I come here in front of you both as a citizen and a constituent of Commissioner Sandeli's, as well as a member of our Lee County Legislative Delegation. I think it'll be no surprise I have publicly spoken in opposition to these two initiatives that are being proposed. I personally am opposed to those. However, I just want to share that I think it is important for myself and my colleagues as member of this delegation to hear where you as a board are on these issues. So I commend you for taking up this item today before it goes to a public discussion. I also want to commend and thank your Charter Review Commission members, Chairman Shaw and his fellow members on the commission, for doing a thorough review and vetting these issues over a months-long process here at home. I have gone back and I have watched all of those meetings, and I encourage and hope that others will do the same. But I just want to share that what happens at home is not lost on all of us who go up to Tallahassee. What happens at home is the most important thing, and issues like this should be discussed and should be debated at home and not in the chambers of the Capitol. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Got one more. Up next will be Mary O'Bannon.
Good morning, gentlemen. I am here representing myself. I live in Boca Grande, which is also an unincorporated area of Lee County. For as long as I can remember, at least 38 years now being a resident of Boca Grande, we have always had very strong leadership in our district. We had Commissioner James, we had Commissioner Manning, now we have Commissioner Ruane. All of them were very helpful to us and have been very helpful to us as we've moved through different issues on growth. However, I've also relied upon the rest of the board and drawn from your experience and your knowledge in governing. Boca Grande has had probably 4 major discussions in the last 30-something years about incorporation. And eventually and it wasn't because we had poor representation, it was just like, oh, well, what if we do this and what if we do that, and maybe things would run better. But even with hired consultants, basically it all came down to the data, and the data was, it was just another layer of politics and another layer of government. And you know, I think we're very well represented, and anytime I need, you know, staff's help, we've developed great relationships, and I just think this is unnecessary. I trust you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I have no other cards, so at this time, I'll call for any further public comment. Mr. Ballard coming up.
Good morning, commissioners, staff, everybody in this room, and anybody that's watching on TV. I support Commissioner Pendergrass's motion. I've been in government since the day I was a grunt firefighter at the city of Fort Myers. I was involved in city government then. I've been involved in county government. I'm an elected fire commissioner. I'm getting real tired of people in Tallahassee trying to tell us how to run our county. They should be listening to us and learning how to help us run the county, not dictating what we should be doing. It's been said up here, it would cost $3 million if this initiative goes through. You've already had one legislature tell you that she's not in favor of it. I'm not sure what Mike's, Jim Bartow's brain set is, but I know him since he played popcorn football. I will be chewing on him tomorrow. I'm just not sure where he's coming from. And then we have the fire districts that I'm well involved with that, once again, they're trying to do that 2 weeks ago. They had already determined it was not in the best interest of the fire districts to do it. So maybe instead of trying to recreate what we have in the county, we ought to go back and look at doing a better job at electing state officials. This county has ran fine with elected county commissioners. Having the county commissioners appoint the staff. Roger ran this as a county manager, never missed a beat, was able to take over in emergency situations when the county commissioners may or may not have been available, and did an exemplary job. I'm sure Dave will do the same. So Cecil, push on, my friend.
Thank you, Mr. Ballard. Any other further comment at this time? Okay, I see none. We have a motion from Commissioner Pendergrass and a second by Commissioner Sandelli. Is there any further discussion from the board?
I just like to say thank you everybody for coming down to speak today, and Danny, thank you for that. It is almost Christmas too, by the way, so you'll be busy this month. I just want to say this is obviously a touchy subject for some, but at the end of the day, I came to work here many years ago, 11 years now, and I came here with one goal. When I leave here, I leave this place a better place when I'm done. And I want to make sure that that happens. And I'm really concerned, like we've heard so much from people today, that everything is not broken. So why are we trying to change something? And you heard from some people today concerned about as far as like their areas being neglected, not being, but I personally, and I think this board overall has seen, I've seen a lot of faces up here come and go in the last 11 years. We've lost 3 colleagues in the last 4 years, has made an effort throughout the county, to make sure that we serve all the public. So when I hear their argument that their area is being neglected, I'm really disappointed to hear that. And some of the speakers today, I think it's related based upon a fair board issue or a zoning issue now, but I get that. But no matter what, these counties, what some people refer to as has, if you don't do this, they're going to incorporate, they're going to make more cities. Well, if you actually look at 3 of those counties, they have 28 cities in some of those counties, like Miami-Dade. They have 28 cities in those counties already under that form of government. So there's a reason why people do that. We don't want to create these little pockets of cities, and that happens, but people have that right to do that. But like you heard from some of the speakers today, this was already set in 1996. There's a process in place for the Charter Review Commission, which, by the way, is still in session until March 26th. I'm still not sure why we're having this discussion today when people could go to the next Charter Review Commission, some of the speakers here today, you can go to the next Charter Review Commission and try to lay that out to the members, the 15 members of the Charter Review Commission under the county charter, explain your situation, why you think you should have this referendum put on the ballot. That's the process that's in place now. To go around that process before the process even closed, which is still open until March 26th, is unheard of. And we heard that from one of the speakers today. Why would you go around that process when you can go that process next month and speak your truth about why you think this should be an issue and try to convince those 15 members that represent the whole county why you think this should be on the ballot. So there's a process in place, and that's why I think it's really important, as we heard from Representative Maloko today, that we need to tell the delegation how we truly feel, and that's why I made the motion today for this resolution to oppose the current bill that's being introduced, because it's basically circumvents the current process, which was home rule of 1996 was adopted this charter county government. I think right now, tomorrow is the end of hurricane season. We should be celebrating another hurricane this year and working together with the state. I'm so looking forward to, after tomorrow, getting all this behind us, moving forward, working with the state. We have a lot of work to do, working with the task force resiliency. Thank you, Commissioner Wayne, for being the chairman for that. We have a lot of work to do still with the state, and they've been great partners, and we're going to continue that relationship, but we need to put this stuff behind us and move on and continue to work together for the citizens of Lee County.
Thank you, Commissioner Pendergrass. Any other discussion? Commissioner.
This is a comment. I've been on a couple of pretty good teams in my life, and as proud as this team is, and I say the team, I'm talking about the legislature, the local county here. When I distill all this down and all the conversations, I have one purpose in mind, and that's to, after the hurricane and the pandemic, I think what our citizens deserve is a little bit of stability right now. As we dealt through that, how we analyze that, how we go forward, and how we enjoy the holidays. What's the holidays all about? The greatest joy is when the family comes together. We often heard, this is a family. I hope that we can look at each other as family. We can agree, we can disagree. But when you care about each other, when you try to do what's in the best interest, I think that's what our constituents deserve. That's where I'm coming from. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and take a stab at it. I think I know where we're going today, though, but I'll just share some thoughts. I thought everybody shared really amazing comments today. I enjoyed listening to the public comment, and I want to congratulate you, Commissioner Pendergrass, on the turnout today. So I want to say this. I think there were a lot of really good points made today. I think some, about the creation of the elected or of the appointed county manager position were great comments. And in theory, it sounds amazing that we would appoint this expert to a position who would be apolitical and just have nothing but the best interest of people at heart and be so benevolent and kind. But what I've seen over the last few years has turned me against that more than anything, because we saw benevolent experts tell us that we had to wear masks whether we like it or not. We saw benevolent experts try to force vaccine mandates on us. They didn't let us make our own decisions, and I just really don't ever want to live in a world where there's these people who are doing it for the right reasons, and they think I'm too stupid to make my own health care decisions, force me to make decisions. So I am concerned about those 1920s era progressive policies that still, that still rule the structure of our government today. The other thing that I really agreed with that was said today were the comments, though, about the thoughts of the electorate do change over time. And in 1996, the charter was created this way. But since 1996, I do think that the thoughts of the electorate have changed. And I do think that if either the single-member districts or the elected mayor make it to the ballot someday, I think they'll pass. I think they'll pass with a majority of the vote. And I don't know when we'll ever get to have a chance to have that conversation, but I think the charter contemplated that the electorate would change its mind. That's why they created the 3 ways to amend it, either through the commissioners, through the Charter Review Committee, or through the petition process. And I think that was, I said this at the last meeting, I think that is the right way to do this. I don't like that it is being brought forward by the state. I wish it was a conversation that we could have just had as a board, that we could have just talked about it and had a great conversation about whether this is a good idea to bring to the voters or not. I've been very consistent in my 10 years here now that I put questions on the structure of government in front of the voters. We did that when it was time to talk about term limits, and the voters approved that with 90% of the vote. When the voters of Lee County in 2014 got a chance to vote on the structure of their school board, they approved a single-member district, 55 to 45. So we know how they feel. They've changed their mind since 1996. When the voters got a chance to vote in 2022 on if they wanted an elected executive over their school district, they approved it 62 to 38. I firmly believe that if this ever gets in front of the voters, they're going to go that way, and I always will support their right to have their say on the structure of their government. But I wish we could have done this through the county commission, through the charter amendment process that's already laid out, because I thought that was an excellent point that was made today. There are 3 ways to amend the charter, and I think those would have been the ways that I would have loved to have seen this done.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Hammond. Commissioner Lorraine.
Sure.
You're recognized.
Gentlemen, I was not here when you brought this issue before. And first and foremost, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to chair the task force and having the privilege to go to Tallahassee for over 30 days to represent this county. We do have a problem. And I've talked to each delegation member, all 8 people. And there is certainly an issue that was raised. And my letter, I believe, when I was in Italy, was to say that they've made their mind. And I honestly have said that. And my focus is to concentrate on receiving the maximum contributions that we can receive and reimbursement for Hurricane Ian. That's our concentration, recovery. And we seem to be at some type of conflict right now with the delegation. I've spoken to every single member, and when we first got the audit letter, I confronted each one face to face. So those issues say something. I understand Commissioner Pendergrass's point of view, and I understand the structure, but what I heard Representative or Tax Appraisal Caldwell suggest that we sit down. We do have a problem. I mean, we had a particular request in the legislative package that was made, and we had a representative tell us to lower it. So again, concentrating on funding, concentrating on working as a team. There's no vote tomorrow. We're doing this. I'd love to see the turnout tomorrow. I'd love to see exactly what's going on, but having talked to the 8 people, if I've got my numbers right, they're going to move forward with this. And I understand we want to send a letter. I believe their minds are made up. I'd love the opportunity to sit across the table and have a discussion, because in the world of business I've come from, that's exactly what I've tried to do. And I'm just sharing my experiences, having been up in Tallahassee, having spoken to each one of them, not only up in Tallahassee, but recently when I went up there for the second round of the special session, or the session really dealing with resiliency and hurricane. And really was concerned about 4 people writing a letter to us and talked to each one of them. I don't bet often, but I don't have an opinion on the strong mayor. I really don't. Single member districts, it doesn't bother me, but honestly, it's an opportunity to, let's work with the delegation, because again, I want to concentrate on focusing on the recovery aspects for Lee County. And there seems to be some conflict between the delegation and this commission. And that's what I put in my letter to y'all. And I don't think that's resolved.
Well, we're here now publicly talking. We can't talk about this stuff in sunshine. So maybe you could share with us, if you start with the first one, Representative Botana, what is the issue he has? Because it's not about the structure of the county government. I think the issue is, so let's start talking.
I don't think that, honestly, I want to go through person by person, but the overall theme is that they feel that they would like to have some recommendations. We had Kevin Carnes come up and give recommendations for tighter internal controls. We didn't adopt any of them.
Okay, so
again, they're looking at this, again, I would encourage each and every one of you to talk to the delegation, each member.
I have.
I mean, we could have a workshop like
And again, what I'm looking for is,
we could get with them in a room.
I want to make sure that we get the maximum funding and the reimbursements for Hurricane Ian. I want this place to recover. And with the conflict at the moment, okay, maybe I'm skeptical of poking the bear.
I feel like, first of all, I don't support having a workshop about the single member district and mayor issue, because this was brought up by the property appraiser, not by the delegation. It was obviously written by them, given to them. We can go into the details of that, but you're saying that there are funding issues are being withheld from us for the taxpayers of Lee County because of the concerns. I just want to know what the concerns are.
I didn't say, what I said was there was a funding request this year that was lowered from 15 million to 8 million, okay? And again, just trying to read, is there a situation? Obviously, in talking to each one of them, obviously they had concern. 4 people wrote the letter. We all got the letter. Okay, we all are aware of the letter. And I certainly want to have a conversation. There's 2 bills that they're going to look at. That delegation will say yes or no. And our letter of opposition, which you all sent in October, I don't know is going to change the vote at all. Instead of having the vote casted, all I'm advocating for is, why don't we sit down and talk about it with the group of us? Because together, it's the constituents of Lee County.
I personally represented the past chairwoman of the delegations here, and she said that we need to hear the delegation, as a member of the delegation, she's asking to let us have our ways. That's the purpose of the resolution, is so they understand it. Now, I know we were lobbied earlier the day before this meeting by Appraiser Caldwell to have a workshop together with the delegation, which I was never contacted by any member of the delegation for a workshop. So I'm not sure how we can have a workshop with the delegation about funding requests that's already submitted as far as budget. Because when I talk to leadership, our funding request through appropriations is already, stuff has already started through there. There's already committee weeks starting. So I'm not sure how our resolution about the structure of the county government from 1996 charter amendment would make a difference to our funding. I'm not sure why they would tie that together. That'd be political, and that wouldn't happen on our delegation.
What I'm saying is I respect what Jenna says, and I respect that Jenna has indicated, and I know where Jenna feels. I'm indicating that 4 people felt very strongly about some of the things we're doing up here, and I'd love to have an opportunity to talk to them, because for a moment, if I have to second guess or question why something took place, I'm just concerned. Honestly, I wasn't looking to change the mayor form of government here. That wasn't what I was going to do. Single member districts, I respect Mr. Maxwell, Dr. Maxwell, he's certainly been there, but single member districts are in 19 counties, so it's not uncommon. And again, we send a letter opposing this, and you did it last month. The same letter is going to send. I'd love to see what turns out tomorrow. We have a meeting on the 5th. Again, we're having an emergency meeting, and my understanding is that Senator Martin needs to leave in an hour. Senator Albritton's not going to be there. Senator Pasadoma has a tough schedule. So, you know, again, the people that signed the letter, T. Lombardo, Esposito, Botana, you know, are all on that letter. Martin, they're on that letter. So I just would love to have a conversation. Maybe in the business world I came from, we discuss it, and I want to work together. That's really the whole point. I understand this body has already sent a letter. You've sent it before. And I'm not advocating for a mayor and form of government, okay? I don't have that, you know, that specific request per se. I'm just saying we need to work together. We need to concentrate. I don't necessarily want to get into any type of conflict, and I would love to have the opportunity to sit in a room with our delegation. I really would. Workshop. If there's an issue, you know, because why wouldn't we at least listen to why they wrote a letter?
I don't think, I've had some personal conversations. I don't think they're going to talk openly in the workshop of some of the concerns, some of the personal issues, and that's why I think it's best for us to send the resolution to the voice of the board as the motion says, and then move forward from this. Hopefully they'll hear the public outcry tomorrow and see our letter and hopefully just drop it tomorrow. And I think that's what the hope is for that.
How did it work out last time you did that? I mean, did they drop it or did they actually push it forward? I mean, last time you sent a letter, they filed the bill. That was their response. So this time you're going to send another letter, and what are they going to do?
That's their choice.
Okay, I think now I'd like to give my comments if I can. I think being new to politics, I have a little bit different perspective simply because I promised myself when I decided to run to be a county commissioner that I would never, ever, ever vote for bigger government. And there's no way I could ever vote for bigger government because I think spending more dollars, more tax dollars, having more opinions, I think we're elected countywide for a reason. I feel like I've grown up countywide here as a lifelong citizen. I would like to have a say in other districts, and I certainly would like these commissioners to have a say in my district. I think having a person, a single district person as a commissioner could end up exactly with one of the comments made earlier, that the fact that I won't touch your area if you don't touch mine. And I think it could really cause power plays going on in our government in Lee County. It just makes no sense to me. So I just want everyone to know that and get the feeling of the way I look at it is it's more government, it's more money. It makes no sense to change something that's working very well. I love the fact, and I sit back and listen for a reason, because I love the fact that we can do exactly what we just did, is have a board speak and not always agree. We shouldn't always agree. We should always respect each other, and we should respect each other's opinion. I don't know the reasoning why there's a small minority. I think it's a small minority because everyone I talk to says absolutely not. And maybe that's just the people I know, but it just doesn't make any sense for me to be on the side that we're going to open it up to have bigger government. And that's my opinion, and at this time, do we have any other comments? Okay, I see no other comments. At this time, we have a resolution by a motion by Commissioner Pendergrass, and we have a second by Commissioner Sandelli. Do we have any objections?
I object.
I object.
Okay. We have 2 objections. It's 3-2. Commissioner, I approve. We have Commissioner Hammond and Commissioner Rerain that are opposed. At this point, it passes 3-2.
Thank you.
If there's no further business in front of us, the meeting is adjourned.